I think all of you already use the ChatGPT and use the paid version of ChatGPT if you have. Have any one of you experienced any customized GPT before? Feel free to share experience because today we're going to talk about some of my thoughts on integrating the teaching logics into the GPT and make it more customizable. And also, I'm going to talk about how to close the loop on the last step. The most difficult challenge is how to assess the conversation, which is difficult in the past, but with the technology right now, it's doable. Um, yeah, have one of you tried that before or tried a customized GPT before? Yeah, if not, maybe we could talk more about that. Let me share my screen.
I'm not sure about other folks, but I'm still using the free version, waiting to see if maybe the university will pick the Chat GPT as the one we'll have greater access to.
Yeah, I mean it's a great choice because the free version already have most of the function. The only limit is maybe some of the model have limitation and some of the pay version have access to the customized GPT. So what I'm discussing today is mainly focusing on the ChatGPT pay version. So if you haven't purchased that, you could like take a look at my demo and see whether it's worth to get this version. And I know that the Copilot also have the similar function. I think it's called Space. I think last time Fade already mentioned that anyway, it's a way to use some of the prompt to better integrate the model and make that more customized to our class design. So yeah, it's a very powerful tool in my mind that we could change GPT or any LM model into any form we want to design. Okay, so I think uh, most of us here, and let's get started by today's topic. Can you all see my screen and hear me clear?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So today I want to share some of my thought on how to customize the ChatGPT for the course teaching. Of course, this can help for all other purpose, including research or service. So let me first show you the roadmap of today. So we're going to first start by a high level on talking about how AI can help and the benefit of the customized AI. And I'm going to show you my vision of the customized AI or ChatGPT in the teaching perspective. And I'm going to talk about the three-step to close the loop of how to achieve the goal, which specifically we're going to talk about how to design the proper prompt to implement your any exercise or assignment you want. And then I'm going to show you some demo that I'm been currently exploring, and I find that it's pretty helpful. And finally, I'm pretty exciting to also talk about how to evaluate student conversation. So from the implementation, design, implementation, and evaluation, that will close the loop of how to assess or guide student on thinking. And then finally, I'm going to provide all the website and resources I have generated through this. So I think it may be not enough for me to talk every details on the GPT perspective, but I have record and put all the documents and leave the resources for you if you're interested to explore. Um, and by the way, during the meantime, if you have any question about the implementation or you want me to repeat again, feel free to unmute and stop me or ask me a question. We just consider that as the discussion and conversation. So don't hesitate to stop me if you want. So this is my ideas, my thoughts on how AI can transform education. And I think in previous two sessions, we have experienced two wonderful use cases. For example, Faye talked about how we could use the AI agent to improve the problem solving using the GitHub Classroom and the Copilot features, which is very powerful as long as we design the prompt, the instructions, the AI can do a lot of work for us very easily. So what we need is to guide students how to do step-by-step instructions and they could do the work. So I think this is very important for students to understand how to implement their real life application using AI. And Ben also talked about in the last session on the teaching of AI to improve the efficiency by automation. And then I think in future, Megan and Robert are going to talk about how to integrate AI thinking into teaching. So today, my focus will be on how to use AI to help students better train their mindset. Specifically, I think about how to devise Socratic methods by asking student questions step by step, so that we could help form or train students' way of thinking instead of getting the answer directly. So let me show you a brief ideas of what I'm trying to achieve using this customized GPT. So previously, if you think about assessing student assignment, is what you get is the what, right? You get the student's essay, multiple choice answer. All of them are the output of student thinking process. However, it's hard to assess how students think about during the process. And I think it's better to understand them and guide them to the thinking process in with the help of AI. This is doable in the current state. So what I'm trying to introduce you is instead of directly ask students to show us the output, we integrate our thinking process into the AI and ask the AI to do a step-by-step guidance for students so that students can properly think about how to solve a problem in step. And it's more customizable for different student perspective. So I think that's the different change from getting what we want directly as an output, but now we could guide them through the process or a way of thinking. So how to achieve that, I'm going to talk about later, but I'm going to show you the benefit before and after. So before, what we have is we have limited personalization because it's like we ask students to write down the output, and that's what we want, right? And it's may not customize to students' level, student perspective at the different pace. So it's something similar as a teaching, right? So we only instruct in one standard. So different students may have different understanding or the knowledge may not easily to catch up on the pace. So that's AI can help in this rate. And secondly, firstly, it's hard, even if we want, to understand how students think, right? Because we need to talk to them one by one. It's very time consuming and it's hard to do in real time. But now with AI support, we could actually help and guide students without a loss of quality. And then I think what's more important is to assess students with the thinking process. It's almost impossible to think or talk about how students think. Most of the time in right now is what we could observe from the discussion in class. So we could kindly think about, hey, how students generally think about this process, what could be the problem. But now with the AI, we could help students think better for each individual. Each student will treat individually, and then we could help them how to think about this problem, and we could get the feedback individually as well. So I think that is a breakthrough from the AI. And finally, engagement perspective is more interactive because it's the it's the question following up that directly address the previous feedback from the student. So it's more active learning instead of passive learning in the past. Okay. So I think it's more student central, and we could control on how students think about this process, and the evaluation is visible. And with the help of evaluation, I think it can save time in the end. So let me show you how I viewed about this AI workflow to close the loop. So what we need to do to customize GPT is first to design the logics, how to think about what assignment we need to convert that into a customized GPT. So I'm going to talk about the logic, and I'm going to show you the tools to convert any assignment you have right now into this customized GPT. And then I'm going to show you some demo of currently what I've been implementing. And finally, I'm going to show you how I assess students' evaluation based on their feedback. So um, this framework is not, again, it's evolving over time. It's just based on my multiple tries with the students and some of my thoughts. It's not a standard framework. It's just like how I think about this process, or how AI can better understand the steps in the teaching evaluation, in the teaching experiment. So basically, we need to be very specific on what we want to achieve. For example, the first thing we need to define is what is the role for this exercise. Do you want the chat box to be a TA, or do you want them to be discussion facilitator? So what exactly you want AI to do it for you, right? This is very common for the AI prompting to define the role. And then we also need to specify the learning objectives. What exactly we want to achieve for this one? Do you want to help students like guide them through the discussion, or you want them to answer some simple question about the course, or even you want them to execute a case study for you, right? So you want to be very specific on the outcome you want to achieve. And then you would like to specify what information you would like to rely on. I call this resource hierarchy, which means that we're going to rely on the course material or any materials we provide. We call this knowledge base to the AI, so that the AI will first refer on this information. And then we can also let them know that if we couldn't find this information, they are feel free to refer this online, and we could provide the better source to refer from, like Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, or this news website to first infer from. So you list the hierarchy on what information you want the AI to refer from, because this is very important. Otherwise, the AI will directly learn online and without giving a more context or course-specific information for the exercise. And then you want to specify the execution flow, how you want these things to execute in your step. This is defining revolutionary different from the previous without the AI step, because we want to customize our process so that AI can understand what you would like to achieve. So there are two different dimension I specify. One is how you generally want the AI to execute. You want to define the stepwise questions one by one and provide the feedback after the students answer the question. So this is the general execution flow. I'm going to show you more in detail later, but this is the big picture. But then you would like to specify in more detail how you would like this exercise to be breakdown. I call this more context-related instructions. For example, if you want students to have a discussion on news topics, so you could specify some of the problem that you already think about and provide some hint on that direction. So this is what I call detailed instruction. And finally, you would like the AI to have the tunes, how you would like student AI to respond to the student. You could set up the tune to be more relaxing, fun, or if it's an exam related or assignment, you could be a more professional style. And also, you should specify what is the boundary for the AI. So you are restricting the AI to directly give out the answer. Instead, what it provides is just the hint and guidance for student to answer it in a better way. So that is the framework that I provide. But here is the prompt that I specifically designed to help you better design any assignment into the prompt so that you could take a look at that. So this is just a GPT, customized GPT, and I use this to specifically help us better convert any of the assignment that we would like to convert on. Like, for example, currently we want to convert a discussion into a ChatGPT style, then this is the prompt that can help you with. Any one of you can access to this link. Let me post the link so that you could try it right now. I'm going to copy this onto the chat box so that you could access that. And I'm going to show you how to create your customized GPT following the step. Okay, so this prompt you see right now is the meta prompt in your mind that you could convert any of your assignment in your mind into a prompt that we're going to use to generate your customized GPT. And I'm going to show you the process of using example. For example, let me open one of my Canvas course. Let me open up my previous course. For example, previously I'm teaching a blockchain and cryptocurrency class. And for example, I just want to convert a discussion on discussion board that I would like student to discuss. Previously, this is the process. I list the assignment, I list the link that I want student to read and the student's discussion question. And then student have some feedback, but I realized that it's tend to be ChatGPT generated. It's not quite informative, and I don't know exactly how they're talking about because there are a lot of feedbacks there. So what I can do here is I want to convert that into a custom GPT format. So what I can do is I can simply open this and click, hey, let's build a prompt instruction together. So this GPT can help us better break down what I showed you previously on the step here. I'm sorry, it's right. Here's my thing. This should be. Where's my slides? I lose track of my slide, but it's fine. Let me open that again. Yeah. So it helped to break down this process, 6-step process, by asking you questions. You could think about this as another exercise of how you could interact with student. So this is the user phrase. In step 1, get a context. What assignment or case scenario you want your teaching GPT to support. So for this case, I want generate a news discussion GPT. Okay. So and also I forgot to mention that there are any documents that I want to include. So let's go back to my slides here. So before the class, I want students to read these topics, right? And then you see that I also want to paste the link for this discussion. And then it will generate the information. Okay, so I've accessed this article online, and then it will generate the context gathering. So it will ask the question, is the teaching GPT aimed at facilitating classroom discussion? What's your instructional objective? So you could define your objective, and here they're going to give you a brainstorm of what you want to do. Of course, if you have specifically in mind, you don't need to answer this question. You could just simply put the context that you want, and also specify your goal and how you want to generate the execution. So, for example, since I already have this question in mind, so I'm going to just ask the GPT to design it from you. I want to ask a student to answer this question in steps. Also, I have provided some hint following question. So this is my already discussion questions and hint. Of course, you could integrate your own exercise as well. So now the prompt know better on how you want the news discussion GPT. And here is the structures. Present one question at a time and use the hints, and then keep student thinking critically. And now it provides a draft magically for you. So here is the draft you're going to copy and create your own GPT. So because I already prompted, so it will tell you this is the rule that you want the GPT to be a discussion facilitator for finance or economic students and guide them through these topics and clarify the objective and the information that they're going to rely on. For example, the primary articles will be this one, and then the instructor provide hints and student primary knowledge. And then the execution flow. There will be present a question one by one, and after the student responds, we have to follow up. And if they miss the key point, offer hints, but not revealing the full answer, and ensure all factors and hints are addressed before moving on the next question. Only at the end, summarize the key points to all questions. So this is the execution flow you want students, you want this exercise to be going through. But then you also provide the detailed instructions of how you want to break down this question instead. Okay, so this is the first step. Talk about the drivers of the rally, and because this topics is related to the Bitcoin rally. And then we're going to talk about whether this is the long-term sustainability and what's the investment strategy associated with that. And finally, the price dynamics. Okay, so this is the four components I want students to discuss about. And then this is the direction I would like students to get. And finally, the response should be professional, clear, and encouraging. And this is all the detail. And also the boundary, do not give the full answer directly. So previously, if you ask this question on this chat box on the discussion board, they will directly simply can ask ChatGPT to generate the feedback and paste it there. So it's not a good way to assess student thinking, but here you could break it down the question and ask student to answer the question instead. Okay, and then I'm going to talk about in the later stage on how to evaluate that. So once we have that, we can simply copy this. Let's say that this is what we want. And let me show you how to generate GPT. Sorry that it takes a long time, already half an hour for me to reach to how to generate the GPT. But I think the previous step will be necessary for us to better understand the structures. So when we entering the customized GPT, first of all, we need to have a pay version, which is $20 per month to access to this customized GPT. So you will have this GPTs icons. When you access this, you can click create. Okay, so in this process, you could create this by asking the questions, interactive with ChatGPT. But now, since we already have all the configuration, we could directly use this configure to generate our GPT we want. So let's give it a name of like discussion on Bitcoin ETF. So this is the topic, and the description, you could say that help student better understand the news article. You could be specific on anything of this. This is just a description for student to know on this page here. Okay, and then you could simply paste this instruction that I just generate, or generate from the GPT. The role, the objective, including all the 6 elements in there. And then you could also define a start. It's called let's get started. And then for some of this exercise, you can also put your course PDF, course context, or syllabus, or anything you want the GPT to assess the information first before going to the website for the knowledge base. Since here, what I only have is the website, so that I'm going to just copy the URL link on this. So I'm going to paste this onto the primary article, the URL link, so that the prompt know exactly what I'm referring to as well. So that's it. So all you need to do is put all of this configure and break it down by step. And what we need to do is to just click create. So when we are done, you see that there are 3 options. You could put it for only me can access, or anyone with the link, or the GPT store. So if you put it into GPT store, anyone online can access that. But if you want to get it more privately, you could create the link only, so that the students can access it through the link to evaluate your to get into this conversation. So when you copy this link, this is what you'll see. Discussion on the Bitcoin ETFs. So let me show you how it looks like. So if we click, let's get started. It will ask you, first of all, consider bookmarking. Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to show you this like a GitHub page later. So step 1, the drivers and the articles will point the several possible. What's the factor do you think have drive this price to pass the 64,000 mark? That is the old article, so Bitcoin price definitely be higher right now. So it provides a hint, and for example, the students can simply answer the question from the article, but some lazy students can say that I don't know. Let's say that how it works, right? Can it stop student from thinking? If I ask, I don't know, whether the students will after have the questions directly? No. Instead, they will ask the student to think about in this perspective. Think about the market sentiment, and then it will keep asking when people believe Bitcoin will rise, they tend to buy more, which pushes the price higher. So they will give them some hint in more detail in different perspective, and continue to encourage students to think about, for example, the first question is, what is the driver for this ETF Bitcoin price high? Okay, so it will keep asking students on this and pushing students to think about in different perspective until students have the thoughts. Um, so if I'm want to be a lazy student continuously, you see that it's okay that they don't want to answer, but here is the feedback that we got, right? So far, it seems like the student can simply bypass this, but I'm going to show you in the last step how to evaluate student feedback and conversation so that we could close the loop on guiding student how to think about this process. So student won't be lazy because if you give them a score and assess the student based on their feedback, then student won't answer in this way. But for the sake of time, I just want to show you how exactly this discussions format can be done. And I'm going to show you some use case that I've been discovered using right now. Do you have any questions so far? Am I going too fast or any point that you're missing? Feel free to let me know. Okay, so let me show you some of the demo that I've currently been using. Um, and by the way, let me show you all the resource that I have is generated here on the customized GPT for teaching. So in this README document, it's specifying all the details, including here's my slide and all the demos that I will showcase some of the demos right now and all the workflow that you can use to design, implement, and finally evaluate your GPT. So for each of the demo, if you click on that, it will link you to the demo link that you can play with that. And if you want to know more about the prompt that I use to generate that, um, you could also click on the complete course design framework. And under that, you you will see the configuration. So here is all the I think maybe it's right here, sorry. So all the configuration is showing right here. So you can access the link to get how I generate all this demo. But let me show you some of the demo that I have generate and give you a sense of how GPT can be implemented. The first thing is you could use that as your personal TA. That's a very straightforward to start with. So what you need to do is um, let me show you the course TA. What you need to do is you just specifying your goal. The primary objective is to help students to answer the questions. The objective, encourage conceptual clarity, support students in understanding the concept, blah, blah, blah. And the most important thing is what I include in my knowledge base is my course materials, including syllabus, slides, and code example that you want to implement. So let me show you specifically on this configuration. So you could design some of the questions that you ask as a starting point, like student to ask, but you could also incorporate all of your slides on your syllabus so that student can ask any question they have. Let me show you some of the magic the student can do. For example, what's the final exam schedule? So it will search my knowledge base first. So um, it will ask a lot of logistic questions, homework questions regarding your course specific things, as long as it's inside your syllabus or any information you want to include here. So don't worry, this is not public. If you don't want to go public, you could just share the link to the student and they could access it through the link only. So no, not all the others like publics can access the information. In addition, the student cannot access information inside here. So if you want to include all this knowledge here, students have no access to this information. What they have is just the interaction chat box right here. So don't worry about like some of the information has been leakage. You're free to also incorporate some of your previous exam question so that you could help students preparing for their next exam. So student will have a better understanding of how this exam look like and what is the concept that been capturing in this for the exam. So you could also use that as exam preparation helper. For example, if I want to, as a student, I want to know, can you generate 5 multiple choice question about module 1? So that's my first module. And it will automatically generate this to test. So that's also very helpful study tool. If you put the most of the information that you want to cover in the slides, and it can generate a multiple choice question to ask student to practice for you, right? Or you could also be question specific, like you want to ask like me or professor any question that is not in this exam, like will some concept, for example, blockchain formation in the module 1? If not, can I ask professor for more information about that? Draft me an email. So there's a lot of use case that you could ask this personal assistant to do it for you. So it makes the communications more smooth, and the assistant can know exactly what student want. And yeah, so that's one of the use case. I think that is very accessible and very easy to do it to start with. And the second one will be a discussion that I just show you. You could use that to discuss with the like to serve as the discussion facilitator, or you could use that as a case study. For example, here is a very simple case study to evaluate the capital budgeting tool. So of course, this is the information I already input into the prompt, so that the prompt know exactly this is the questions I want student to do. And then I break down that into a step. Let me show you the step here. So I will ask student to understand the investment, establish the depreciation, construct the net cash flows, analyze the metrics, make decision, reflects on assumption. So these are the common logic thinking of how to assess a simple net present value project. So you could break this down by step and help student how to think about the process. So every time when student assess this information again, they will understand, hey, this is the logics that I will evaluate based on. So you can simply break this down by step and ask student to uh, get feedback from you. Do you have any questions so far? Okay, so now let me show you the next exciting part that I generate. So here is the link that you can access this demo. The last step to close the loop is, I know that GPT can do a lot of things, right? And student could have a lot of feedback there. But how to close the loop to assess student conversation? There's a lot of existing applications right now, but I don't think any of them can achieve my goal. So I personally designed my own web application. I called it cognitiveai.net. In this website, you can simply do the magic that uh, just implement. So if you're interested, feel free to let me know. I can help you to create an account and generate your own GPT and let students to access this information. So for example, I create this website to simply replicate some of the things that I have. So let me show you the discussion I just created. It's about the discussion of Bitcoin ETF I just started. And you could create your own course and ask students to assess using this code. Once you give this code to the student, they can assess your course immediately. And then you could let student to assess the conversation like what I did. What you need to do is simply copy and paste on what the you just generate from the customized GPT. For example, discuss the recent trend of the Bitcoin ETF is the description. And this is the row I just generated on the previous, the Matter generate chat box. And then you could also put the URL or any knowledge base here. Also upload any slides you want. And what I decide here is the learning goal. So how you want to evaluate students. So I decide I develop a 6 dimensions evaluation perspective, but you could also customize your own. Like you could design your own criteria with their score. You could also keep the weight from the assignment, how many times students can try. Um, yeah, you need to create an account. What page you want us to go to. So now I'm just showing you the demo. If you want to experiment by yourself, let me know because it's just a demo, like a very prototype page I'm creating. It's actually a SaaS application. So I will need to enable you as admin so that you could play around so far. So what you need, you could set up using your personal email address and your SLU email address. Use your SLU email address as admin and let me know. And then I'm going to upgrade you to a admin role. And then you could create some GPT agents so that you could play around with the problem you want. And I'm going to show you how the student will see and the feedback we got. So once you see that the evaluation matter, this is what I design. So I tend to evaluate students based on 6 dimensions. How complete are they? Will they complete all the information based on my step? How good are they understanding the concept? So are they doing very good at understanding the information? For example, the discussion topics. Do they know a lot about the knowledge already? Or it's just like, I don't know about the context, right? How curious are they? Would they like to ask questions or ask following up question or just simply following the steps, right? I personally feel like it's very important to for the conversation to spark students' curiosity and encourage them to ask new questions. So this is some things I think is very important. Clarity, how good or clear they specify the information. Do they have very vague or ambiguous answer related to the question? How deep are they thinking about this process? Um, are they showing very flexibility on introducing alternative frameworks, or they just want to stick to the current framework? So this is my 6 dimensions of evaluating this. You could also give the weight based on the context. For example, for the discussion topics, I want students to have more curiosity and in-depth understanding on that. So I'll give them higher weight. Um, so um, after setting that, let me update that. And let me show you how students are actually looking at this question. So let me log in. I create my own personal student account. And let me show you how it works. So let's get started. So what you'll see is simply similar to what you see on the ChatGPT, a customized GPT, even though the user interface is a little bit different, but let's get started. I have read the news, for example. I already read the news. And then, perfect. In your words, what's the article main message about a recent Bitcoin rally? So now let's do the lazy person again. I don't know, right? So I can keep asking, I don't know. But however, this time, this information is recorded and it can generate. I'm going to show you the summarization later on. And the score will be generated automatically based on your feedback. So you can keep asking, I don't know, and that will be reflecting on your reflection. And there's another things that student can cheat. For example, they want to copy this and put into the GPT, right? Then I can create a GPT. I want you to ask, discuss about a topic on ETFs, Bitcoin. Here is the question. Right? You can simply copy this and this is the discussion. I can simply, as a student, copy and paste here, but there's a problem here. I create the large text paste detecting, so student cannot paste the large text. They can only paste like the numbers or short phrase, but they cannot cheat in this way. So what the best thing they could do is they read these things and they interpret in their own way and type it in by themselves. So what we can observe is mostly students' instant feedback based on the instructions they have. So this forbids students to do cheating or like a typing from or copying from the other source, like a ChatGPT, because one is done 3 times, you could design it on different way, but you see that if you did it multiple times, the conversation will be flagged and the instructor will know that you are cheating. So student will not do that. Okay, so let's say that I've ended this conversation and this here is the conversation history that student can know, and student will directly know that the overall evaluation. So 3.6 over 10 is not high, and there's a feedback giving to a student, show limited engagement, impacting their ability to discuss the article, and suggestions for improvement. And here is the suggestions that student will know immediately. And then let me show you how we can see on the instructor perspective. Instructor will know automatically how student performs. So I create a student tab. So this is the students, okay? I think it's not. Previously, there are a 6 dimensions performance. I think, let me, maybe because I refreshed that user interface, but I'm going to correct that. So what usually you'll see here is 6 dimensions radar that help you to assess how students' performance. Pretty much
Norman, can
similar
I ask a
like,
question here? Can I
yeah,
stop you for a minute? Yeah, sorry.
yeah,
Uh, so you have that large text detecting instruction.
yes,
So that prevents somebody from copying and pasting. But if
yes,
suppose it's due tomorrow and I just take, I generate the answer somewhere else and on my cell phone, then I type it in. Will it
Yeah.
detect that?
Well, it won't detect students. I would say it won't detect the context that they type in by themselves. But in order to do so, they need to summarize what they have learned from the chat box, right? So they are already processed the information and
So, do
they
you put limitations
right.
in terms of, okay, that many words or, that many sentences? Or what prevents them just from putting the whole answer in?
So currently the AI detecting in two ways. First way is how they understand like whether there are a lot of like whether the context they input are generated from more likely to generate from AI. So they could understand whether this the input structures are AI generated. And then the second type is what I just showed you, whether they can copy and paste the chat box, or they could do a large context copy and paste. So that is forbidden, or there's a warning for student to do that. So student will only can type in by themselves, but there's no there's no way for student to assess the other information. Like for example, if it's like a off-class assignment, it's hard for them to not using the
Yeah.
AI. Right?
Yeah.
That's hard. But I mean, using this mechanism, at least it will force students to first search for the information and then convert that into typable or a conversation style and answer the question.
Okay.
So in each way, they will learn something if they really want to cheat in this way. I mean, it's hard to forbid students to do so.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So I think I will need to update the user interface, but let me show you what it looks like. So the 6 dimension performance, if the page show up correctly, it will show you how each student's performance based on the 6 dimension that I created, or you could use your own way to define the students. And then it will also show how students' performance and each feedbacks, like if they have problem, the AI assistant will say that there are some abnormal activity and the overall evaluation for the students. Of course, you could we evaluate based on your update rubrics. And then for the student perspective, this is what they can see. They will also see the student overall score and their recent conversation activity. So this is just a starting point. I mean, I'm refining this website over time, but I feel like this is the closest to my understanding of closing the loop for the university level instruction. Um, or let me summarize first, and then I'm going to open up on any questions you have. Um, let me go back to the slides. I think I lose track on the slide somewhere, but here you go. Um, so here is my understanding of closing the loop. You could convert any of your assignment currently you have into a customized GPT. You define your own like logical steps so that student can answer the question in the way that you design. Instead of previously, you specify the question and outcome, and student will generate the outcome immediately. So you cannot assess how students think about during the process, and you cannot evaluate how students think about that. So this is the improvement based on after the design, and then you can refine that by using the ChatGPT prompt or customized GPT you want. And then once you find that it's good, then you could put that into evaluation tool like what I create. I mean, there's a lot of others like a Magical School, Magic AI, but they're mostly designed for like high school or elementary school students. There's no university level specific like what I designed uh, for like 6 dimension or your own metrics that you want, and also the customized students feedback of what you want. Because you could also generate a performance summary of how student based on all the students evaluation. Like this is then based on the 9 conversation of student evaluation. It shows the weakness of or strengths or weakness for this student based on all of their conversation. So you can design your customized plan for that student if they offer like a schedule a one-on-one assignment or the office hour. You could look at this and see how you could help students better improve their performance. And also, this information can be extracted automatically if you want to use that as, let's say, um, uh, I think it should be here. If you want to use that as a score or you upload that, you could download this data and simply merge that using the banner ID or their personal or their email address to upload their score and on the canvas or banner. So you can use that as one of the evaluation if you want. But you could also use to, most importantly, to assess student thinking based on their conversation. Okay, so regarding the resource, I think I just show you all the information. This is the GitHub page that I host that contain all the information that I just showed you, including here's the slides, and here is the 4 demos that I just showed you. And then you could see how it works, whether that satisfy your goal, and then also the prompt builders to generate the GPT. So you don't need to worry about how to frame that into different dimensions. This is based on my framework, but you could also customize into yours if you want to. And then I also show the complete like logics of how I design this workflow. And finally, if you're interested to join this evaluation tool, feel free to send me an email because I'm just starting right now. I think this will be very helpful, especially right now our school are reaching to the AI like competition. So if we could, I would say, think about a better assessment on how to evaluate students using the AI, I think that would be a breakthrough. And the more of us using that, I think it will be better in the future. So yeah, that's pretty much what I want to convey or talk about. Do you have any questions about this process? Is there anything that I'm
Norman,
missing?
Lei has a question
Okay, sorry. Let me
in the
see.
chat box.
Do we need to use the cognitive AI for feedback, or can ChatGPT provide this result? What are the difference? That's a great question. So technically speaking, you could use the ChatGPT to generate the feedback for you. So what you need to do is simply, you just need to ask GPT to share this information. So if you click on this link, and then you can ask GPT to generate this link. Okay, and then you could ask the student to send this link to you. So once I access this link, anyone with this link can open up this conversation. So technically speaking, you could use ChatGPT to achieve this goal. But what ChatGPT cannot do is they cannot aggregate all this information and generate a so-called assessment automatically for you. What you could do is you could simply copy this and put into a new chat box, or you could define your own GPT, customized GPT as well. Evaluate this student conversation session, and like for example break it down into some dimensions like completeness or for example, the clarity and so on and so forth, right? And then you just paste this conversation, and they could do this thing for you, but it's not customizable so that you can assess it immediately. I mean, um, it's really up to you. If you just want it as a single exercise, you could do this assessment one by one. Or it's also doable through the AI agent that they develop using the VS Code. It will be faster, but you will need to create your own algorithm and assess this one by one, and then convert that into the score you want. And student cannot get the feedback immediately, for example. So what I provide is a better UI for both instructors and the students to instantly get the information and the feedback. So students can also avoid cheating as well, because from here, we cannot avoid student to cheat from the other chatbots, right? So using the UI, we kind of force students to think about and have a conversation within the chat box. Does that answer your question, Lee?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much. I just curious, like I'm very curious about the sixth dimension, that like virtualization about how students' performance.
Yeah.
I think ChatGPT have some disadvantage. They cannot do this properly. I think maybe the other one, cognitive AI, is more efficient.
Yeah,
I would like to try the admin role and see how that works.
yeah. It's cool. Yeah, I mean, this is my first semester trying that. So I haven't used that before. If there any problem, I don't know. So it's kind of an experimental exercise. So my understanding, I will use that as some of the course before the class. I will assign some of this assignment for student to get better understand on the context first, to test whether they understand the conceptual concept already, and have some inspirational conversation uh, related to the chapter. So that's what my goal at the beginning, and I will use that as a kind of a very light grading related to, for example, the activity or participation score or something like that. But we'll see how it works. I personally feel like it's a very exciting in experiment, because we don't know what currently the school will eventually adopt. There are some tools that we are in touch with right now related to the AI agent. But to be frank, I haven't seen those tool before. So that's why I feel like it's better to define our customized AI agent or AI feedback evaluation, and collect all your feedback, and then we're going to improve that. And that will become our, for example, iconic AI user case. Yeah, but the more of you would like to join, I think that would be better for improving the system. I mean, not only this system, but how we are thinking about using the AI to better improve the teaching. Yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you, Norman. May I ask a follow-up question? Does this cognitive AI cost anything for instructor and students? And also,
No, it's free for the instructor and student. It's only using my API, so I'm going to spend some money on that. But for students and instructor perspective, it's totally free.
oh, okay. So it costs your tokens.
Yeah, it's token. Yeah, it's cost my token.
Sorry
Yeah,
about that.
yeah,
But thank you.
no problem. Any other questions you have? Yeah, I mean, feel free to send me an email, or if you have this link, let me send that link again. Um, chat box. You could bookmark this if you're interested into the understanding how to customize GPT for teaching. I mean, this work logics does not only work for the OpenAI. In the future, we have if we work for the Copilot, it can also work well in the Copilot system. Um, so I'll keep exploring this like area, and if you're interested, feel free to discuss. I'm open to talk on the innovation. Personally exciting about how we could use AI to improve the teaching. Now with the technology available, we could do a lot of things.
Thanks a lot. This has been wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'll be here for a couple minutes if you have any questions. Yeah, if you have any question, feel free to discuss. But if you don't have, have a wonderful day and looking forward to see you in person later.
Thank you, Normal. It was great. Very good.
Thank you.
Hi, Norman.
Hi, Olin.
I I have a question for you. That was very informative. I see that you did close the loop because we were talking about this discussion chatbot before. So now there is a way to assess it.
Yes.
What I am wondering is, though, are there any plans that you know of that these could be integrated into Canvas? Because I'm just not so comfortable asking students to use some external sources where there can be an institutional liability.
Yes. One way in my mind is I could develop into an embedded web page. I'm not sure you have used that.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I mean, I think Canvas needs to keep up with all this because their discussion
Yeah.
boards are way too static. It is not very flexible. It doesn't encourage conversation as much as how these platforms are doing it. And they need to find a way to integrate all this because, we cannot just constantly ask students to go to other platforms where the identity is an issue. We don't know who they are. I mean, how much credit you can give them for the work. They can still do this in Canvas too, but at the same time, Canvas has, or the university has certain procedures in terms of data security and etc. So
Exactly.
I'm just, um, I'm just hoping that there will be because, um, it needs to be a bit tightly controlled in terms of asking students to do these things and then give them credit for the work that they're doing.
I totally agree with you. I mean, the current problem for the Canvas is the admins
Mhm.
uh, disable this function. So like you see that external apps, I simply cannot install any app
Yeah,
uh, unless it's like a permit by the admin.
exactly. I
So
mean, the list of things that integrated into Canvas that we can actually use is not that
yeah.
inclusive.
But one thing that I have in mind is that instead of generating that, I think one of the drawbacks we cannot automatically upgrade that in the grading, but we could create a page. Let me show you the link. Maybe once it's
So,
done, it can
so
log.
do you mean this page would be only accessible through Canvas? So we have a way of getting students into the those platforms through Canvas, so in a way that we know they're who they say they are.
Yeah, so you could actually generate. I haven't designed this page yet, but by the way, you could actually where to create a page. So you could create a page and then and embed the module so that when students opening up, so let me show you
Mhm.
my previous exercise. Um, they could automatically access to the interface.
So then you don't need to give them a token; they can just use course access to get there. Is that
Um, Yeah, they will need to set up at the first page, but once they are done, they don't need that. Here is some of the demo. So this is the embedded page. So you could automatically embed the conversation into this page so that they will automatically log in and start a conversation within the canvas. So they don't need to get out of the canvas to access this information. You see my
Right.
point?
So this would be like, if you go back to your original discussion question that you had there, you can actually embed this external site into that discussion board there, and they would be able to complete it there,
Yeah.
except that responses will not be populating there. They
Uh,
won't be seeing each other's response, but rather just their
that,
own.
that's a good question. I haven't tried. I can experiment that to see whether it's doable. So if student can automatically get the feedback,
Mhm.
but not the score, right? But the feedback after the conversation, that will be great.
Yeah.
I'll try that.
Yeah, the only thing, I mean, I can see the talking with a chat GPT bot, but the part of the discussions there that the distance education courses require is student to student interaction.
Yes.
That will require you to go back to the traditional route of using the discussions in Canvas, unfortunately, I think. Because they cannot see each
Ah,
other's response, can they? When they're
yeah.
using the chatbot.
So you're talking about the current status, current
Yeah,
methods?
yeah, that students can respond to each other here. They can reply to each other. That's part of the student
You're
interaction.
right. I mean the good thing about this discussion board is it facilitates discussion between students.
Mhm.
That what I've seen before. But
Right.
again, the problem is I realized that even though I posted discussion board, students still don't have a deep understanding of these topics, and they tend to simply copy and paste the
Each,
context and ask GPT and get the feedback directly. So it's not very helpful in a sense to facilitate the discussion. I mean, for some students, they are very active. Their response are wonderful. I like that. But not for the general students that I received the feedback. They are very plain language. It's definitely from ChatGPT. So it's hard to stop student doing that in here. So instead, if we could design a logical step to ask student to complete the process, um,
yeah,
and give the score based on that, I feel like it will be better for them to motivate them to learn instead of just in this context.
I see your point. The graduate students who have some significant work experience, they do better at these discussions. I mean, because they
Oh
will
yeah.
engage each other. They will have good perspectives, reasonable perspectives about the discussion questions and each other views. So the undergraduate students, yeah, I mean, they are not at that level. So it
Yes.
becomes a bit difficult to generate student to student discussions.
Yes.
All right, well, sounds good. Thank you for showing all this, Norman. I'm just trying to find the best use cases. I will implement some of these. The discussion board for the graduate class, I'm just not sure if I should venture into the AI, but I will have a couple of them just to test exactly how they are taking.
Sure. Yeah.
uh,
Feel free to do so. I mean, right now, evaluating is still challenging because it's not fully integrated. Um,
yeah,
if you want to do that, we need to use a third-party agency. I mean, that's a problem so far. And I think that will continuously be a problem because the Canvas may not be innovated in a
yeah.
sense they would like to integrate AI at this stage. But we can see that it will definitely improve in the future. But for the couple years, we will still stuck with this user interface, I think.
So just while I have you here, just very quick question. What would be the best way to start? I'm not talking about, fully AIing the course, but rather, what are the initial steps to launch with this? Because what I'm thinking is, more chatbots for some of the assignments, because I think it is important to control what information the chatbot is using. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't want it to be just going into the websites right away, but rather stay within the confines of the course materials and the assignment instructions, because I can see a point that students will get an answer from elsewhere and then try to make a challenge about what they did and why it may not be wrong and those types of things.
Yeah. Right now, for our teams, we still don't have the information of the new tools that we're going to use in the next semester. I'm very eager to know about the detail, but it seems like Dean's still working to work with some of the platform, but I haven't used that platform either. So I think the best way I can think of is the either integrate with OpenAI or most likely Copilot.
Hmm.
And then to make it as a university like a school level app so that student can access this app for free, or us as the instructors, we don't need to pay anything to access to the Copilot. So then in this case it will be very similar to what I show in the OpenAI, because they also have the similar context to customize the GPT or Copilot. um, so you could use that as a TA or something to start with. And that I think that is the low hanging fruit bar to claim we access to AI, because we don't need to assess their student information, but still student can play with that. Um, but other than that, I think we still have limited information on how the school want us to implement. So
Yeah,
that's
I don't want
why,
to exactly. I mean,
yeah,
I don't want to commit to one platform and then the university decides something
yeah,
else.
exactly.
Go
Yeah,
back.
but what I for my understanding, it will be not as what I describe here for the student feedback. So that's why I create my own platform to try implement that to see whether it works. If it works, then I think school are interested in it, then we could integrate the third party platform in the future, or to further develop this platform to be a more school-wise application. But for
Yeah,
now, I have limited information about what school want to implement.
yeah.
So I totally agree with you. So we'll see. We'll see how the school are doing that. I'm
Yeah.
just curious how they want to launch it, because it's just a week in the future, and we still don't know much information about that.
On top of it, you still need to train a lot of faculty. Maybe we are doing it here, but there are still plenty of people who may not be really ready for it. I mean, they may not be even interested in doing anything.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a bit of a challenge. Do you read articles from Inspiring Minds from Harvard?
What's that article about?
Inspiring Minds. Harvard has this teaching platform or teaching kind of a help platform, and there are plenty of that's it.
Okay.
Oh
So
no,
this
no,
is the
is that the Harvard? Does it say Harvard? No, 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 not that. Harvard Business Inspiring Minds.
oh,
Yeah,
something like that. This
yep,
one?
that's it. Yeah.
Oh,
Now, there are a lot of articles about the AI here that I have been following, and one thing that they do mention is that teaching assistant has proven to be quite useful in some of the challenging courses for students.
mhm.
When you create that custom one, again, that whole idea of controlling what AI will access to give answers, that's quite important because it's all relying on, as you showed earlier, your own materials. So the answers are generated from there. It's not going to make up some silly things using websites or other things. So it's just sticking to that. And it seems to be working for students. And
Yeah.
the other thing was I was looking into is case studies because
Yes.
there was a lot of worry about AI solving the cases, but
Yes.
there are some interesting articles about how to make it difficult for the AI to solve those cases. And I was just writing small cases for class discussions with those elements built into it. And I was
Mhm.
thinking maybe I will ask students, go ahead and use AI and
Mm.
see exactly how it goes with these cases that supposed to make it difficult. And one thing that they mention is, introduce complexity, different views, and ask students to focus on those different views because AI sometimes may have a bit of a limitation on taking into account some of those soft human skills built into the case analysis. So there were some interesting articles about how to use the cases with AI.
Mm.
Um, and I don't want students to pay for it. I'm just writing some of the cases myself. They are not very long cases, but they do have multiple issues for students to sift through to come up with an answer.
Yeah, that would be very interesting. I mean,
It's a
I,
simulation on a smaller scale. Remember those
yeah.
finance
It's
simulations,
it's a
corporate
good
finance
it's a
simulations?
good implementation, like to test whether AI is smart enough to catch the answer, like what you said. You define your own answer for the small cases,
Yeah.
but then you'll see whether AI can help solve this question completely, right? So you need to design some trick that tricks AI. Is that what you're saying? That
Yeah,
like
that's if you search for the AI and case studies within the Inspiring Minds here, you will find some articles that talk about how to how to still use cases and let students use AI. And there are specific instructions about it as well. In terms of how to prompt students in dealing with the case studies. They were quite interesting in the sense that, you are not trying to prohibit the use of AI. They can use AI. And there are some suggestions for students how to use it productively rather than just,
mhm.
stifling their own thinking. It is
Yeah,
essentially focusing on critical thinking. I mean, that's the bottom line.
yeah,
How to cultivate with the cases, with the AI that they can have access to, how to cultivate critical thinking. I mean, that's the main question. How can I make it so that they will be able to exercise critical thinking when they are working on these cases? I mean, that's the